Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my video talking about today's Power Rangers Fan First Friday news. Today we got a closer look at the first ever Zord Accession project release, which is the Dino Megazord. I think the biggest news outside of just getting generally a more detailed look at the early prototype is that it is up for pre-order as of this video. When this goes up, it should long be up for pre-order. Like after I'm recording it, it's up for pre-order for premium members, but it's also up for everybody now on Hasbro Pulse and pretty much anywhere you can usually pre-order Power Rangers, Hasbro, Lightning Collection type things. The price on Hasbro Pulse is $165. It's a chance that might vary from where you buy it because sometimes I've seen things be cheaper by a couple dollars, sometimes a little more expensive. Just depends where. Like I said, I got it on Hasbro Pulse. I'm not sure who's going to ship it first. That's like stressing me out as a reviewer. I want to get things out in a timely manner, but I never know who's going to ship this crap first, and Hasbro Pulse almost never ships the stuff first, because it would make way too much sense from the stuff from Hasbro to directly ship to you first before other companies, but that's neither here nor there. But bottom line is it's up for pre-order. It's definitely pricey, but we'll get into that. But they basically showed us a more detailed look, both from some sort of press images, which you can see when you look at the listing, and with them playing it with it a little bit on the table. That sounded weird. And it honestly looks really good. And I want to stress, I think they said this too, this is still a prototype. The first one we saw when they first announced it was an even earlier prototype. I think it was like a super early model they painted just so it looked presentable. And this is still not the final version, but it's a little bit closer to it. And I think it overall looks really good. I mean, some of them, like T-Rex, looks a little bit more stylized than he does in the show, but they talked about how they went off some of the early Sentai concept drawings, which is kind of neat. But for the most part, overall, I think they look really great. And there's also like really nice little attention to detail. Like they have little things like you can lift up the flaps on the Zords and there's like a little cockpit ranger in there, which that's not something I'm going to be like, oh my god, that's amazing for display. But it's a nice little detail. Or like on the face, what I think is really cool, like underneath it you can see the 5 Rangers piloting it, which is another nice little detail. Like it's just kind of just this nice little niche thing that makes it this really nice little collector's item, and it's going to be more articulated, as you can see overall, kind of like their Dino Fury Megazord, and the individual Zords, especially T-Rex, are going to have some more articulation, which is really nice. And they just kind of go into detail about the process of the thinking behind this collection, which I think is really nice. What I really like about these Fan Fridays is, even though I would just love to have this information all sent to me in an email so I didn't have to watch an hour, I really appreciate how much they seem to care about this, which is why it baffles me to see people being like, oh my god, these 2 visors don't match, they're trying to kill the brand. And I feel like there's just so much care put into all these products, especially stuff like this, and care to improve things. Like they'll address in Lightning Collection Fan Fridays like, oh, we know this was a mistake and we're going to fix this and we're going to make this one better. And I feel like they're constantly trying to improve. And I think there's a lot of really good interest that they show in making this line amazing, and they're trying to, you know, not just make the product a good quality, but they're trying to make it some sort of experience. I don't know if it's all for me, I'm too old for this stuff, but I think there's some interesting stuff about them wanting to make the Zord Accession project a project between us, or yeah, I guess us and them as fans, as well as trying to make it an experience with some online stuff and some downloadable stuff, and like the numbering system for future releases. They talk a little bit about future releases. I don't know if I'm reading too much into anything, but when they were talking about design, they did mention like the Z on the Dragon Zord's design, how like in the mmpr universe that didn't really have a reason. We know that the reason for it was because Jew Ranger, but they said they like give it a reason within talking about the story of the Zord Ascension. And because they mentioned that, that almost makes me think maybe it's too conspiracy theory, but the Dragon Zord will probably be the next one. Honestly, that makes the most sense. I just feel like even if they didn't say that, that would make the most sense, but I get a strong feeling Dragon Zord will be next. Although, if they follow suit from the pattern of the Morpher, the next Megazord release will actually be a special all-pink Ranger edition. I just like the way they're thinking about it and talking about it, and I think putting a lot of care into making this a great collector's product and experience. And I think it looks really good. It looks great. I mean, I own so many versions of the mmpr Megazord, but I think this looks great, and it's really interesting that this is a very high tier of price. I mean, I know Hasbro does like HasLab and all kinds of more expensive tiers than we're used to with Bandai. I just think it's interesting because I think a lot of people have been thinking about when we get to Megazords, it's going to be very much like the Legacy Collection, you know, because the Legacy Collection had figures and morphers and weapons and Zords, and they were all within the same price bubble and quality. And the Zord Accession project feels like it's in a category all its own from the Lightning Collection in terms of price tier. So obviously it's going to be different to compare it, but it's significantly more expensive than your average Legacy Collection Megazord was. It's even more expensive than importing Sentai Mecha outside of maybe you know, the big mecha that Sentai would get, which we actually haven't gotten from since Kara Major. But, you know, like the heaviest Sentai mech would probably ring up around this price with shipping, because it's so big and expensive, and then the shipping would always be ridiculous. And if you select a faster shipping method, I don't know why this has become about Sentai shipping methods. The point is this is probably one of, if not the most expensive types of Megazords mecha you can buy. I think another one close in the range was the Tamashii Megazord. But you know what I mean. I just think it's interesting that it's definitely a different tier. So it'll be interesting to compare, and I think it's going to be a little bit different than the Legacy Collection, because it's not going to be something that you can probably as easily want to collect them all when they start coming out, because it's much more of a big purchase to think about. And I'm very excited for it, because I'm excited to see this and other Zords on this quality. But I also kind of am secretly hoping, not like in a I want more way, but maybe down the road they consider doing Legacy Megazord releases in the class of like the Dino Fury Megazords, just to have something that fans can buy from past seasons that maybe they want their favorite Zord, or maybe they missed out on a release, for a more reasonable price. Not that I'm saying that this is an unreasonable price for the quality, because I haven't seen it yet, but I'm just saying it's definitely, I think, on a different tier than some people might be thinking for the Legacy. So I think that's very interesting. But I'm really excited to see it, and I like what I'm seeing so far. I really like the box art. I like the details. I think I'm just mostly excited, kind of like with the regular Zords, just to see how they feel, since this is Hasbro's first like collector Megazord release. But like I said, it's up for pre-order as of right now, wherever you want to pre-order stuff. I'm going to imagine it'll appear at some stores. Hopefully when it comes out next year, I'll be able to get my hands on it early, depending on where it ships. But what do you guys think of our looks at the Zord Ascension project? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what Zords you would like to see next when they get to them. Until next time, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.